Battery Day is nearly upon us, so is the long awaited Autopilot rewrite. International owners finally get a taste of the latest and greatest features, and no, Tesla will not be making a smartwatch. This is Tesla Tidbits episode number 623, recorded for September 16th, 2020. This show is sponsored by my supporter Richard. If you're in the market for a new Tesla, please consider using his referral code. Ask your salesperson to use code Richard174 or go direct to the web link ts.la/Richard174 and pick up a 1,000 mile supercharging credit for your new vehicle. We start the show today with a look at Battery Day and my bold prediction as to what we'll see. As we count down the sleeps to the event, I put my bold prediction for everyone to see out on Twitter, and I thought I'd recap the prediction, as well as a few of you folks' responses as well. My bold prediction was that Model 3 and Model Y will both see range increases to over 400 miles per charge, and Model S and Model X will see increases pushing them beyond 600 miles per charge, completely obliterating any arguments about the cost of the vehicles compared to gas vehicles, as well as putting an end to the road tripping discussion. The move would also relieve future burden on the supercharger network, as there would be less need to charge over the course of a long trip with the new beefier ranges available to the lineup. There will be no change in the price of the vehicles, and all of this will be in shipping in Q4 in order to avoid the Osborne effect of quashing new orders to wait for the new hotness. Robert from the Talking Tesla podcast chimed in, expecting details on the effect of these improvements on Powerwall, PowerPack, and Megapack, as well as recycling info, which would be timely given the recent story about J.B. Straubel and his company. Taylor Marks doesn't think that the S and X will have such similar range, but thinks that the Plaid S and X will be unveiled, and agrees at least that the Model S will see a 622-mile range. And Tomer Hakohen doesn't share my exuberance, but thinks Model 3 will see a $3,000 price decrease and 280 miles of range with LFP batteries, and I'm assuming that will be the new standard range plus model, considering 315 miles is the top benchmark right now. Tomer also thinks that Model X will bump up to 450 miles, and Model S will be 520 miles with the Roadrunner improvements. Thanks to everyone that exchanged with me on the thread. We'll see who came closest to nailing it next week. Speaking of the future of Tesla, Elon took to Twitter to talk more about the impending Autopilot rewrite that we keep hearing about. Back on my July 6th show, I had a story that Elon felt it would be releasing in 2 to 4 months. In typical Elon time, it seems we'll have a bit longer to wait for the public release of the software. Quote, releasing private beta in 2 to 4 weeks, public beta, early access owners who opt in, 4 to 6 weeks after that, then all US Tesla owners mid-December. Above schedule is contingent upon not encountering major unexpected setbacks, end quote. He also detailed a little more of what's going into the rewrite, saying, quote, all frames stitched to single frame, tricky as all cameras overlap in different ways, and then creating video segments for labeling and training. Everything from the labeling tools themselves to training to interface had to be rewritten, end quote. So it would seem that the general public in the US can at least expect to see the new software running their vehicles before the year ends. Can't wait to see the new results, as I've always thought the Autopilot we have is pretty darn good. In some great news for my friends beyond the shores of the US, Teslarati is reporting that the rollout of traffic control device adherence for those outside the US is in progress. This includes traffic light and stop sign control, preferences on exiting the passing lane while in Navigate on Autopilot, and the green light chime. Always great to be able to share some good news with my overseas friends, so check your cars for the latest updates being pushed. Lastly today, the quashing of a rumor going around. Clean Technica had reported a story, and they weren't the only one, that Tesla was partnering with a hardware manufacturer to make, of all things, a smartwatch. This is a story I was immediately skeptical of, as it's just not something that's in Tesla's wheelhouse. Yes, they're great at software, but this didn't solve a problem that needed solving. There's already a lot of great smartwatch manufacturers out there doing it well, and Tesla would have had to bring something to the table that merited a purchase instead of these well-established incumbents. Further, it doesn't make any sense in the context of the company's mission statement to transition the world to sustainable energy. My doubt rang true, as the story was quickly debunked by Elon himself on Twitter, saying in response to Clean Technica's tweet about the story, quote, definitely not. Smartwatches and phones are yesterday's technology. Neuralinks are the future, end quote. Now, what do I think we could see coming? Well, I think we may see an official Tesla smartwatch app coming soon. While Elon downplays investing in what he perceives as old technology, the fact remains that the new hotness he speaks of is still years from being useful to the average person. So, for those of us that augment ourselves on our wrist, I think we could see a watch app announced soon enough. That'll do it for today's show. Thanks to all my patrons supporting the show at patreon.com/Tesla Tidbits. And as always, a special shout out to all the super patrons supporting the show at the $10 plus level. They are Ryan Scarborough, Lee Sweet, William Henry Crew III, Dorian Steve Guberman, Ralph and Cheryl Waterhouse, Todd Sullivan, Mitch Long, Zortek LED Canada, Morven Ogg, Raymond and Deborah Malkowitz, T Sportline, Vicky Kirk, Ricky Johnston, Nathan Garza, Ed Patterman, Sunil Joseph, and Brad Lettner. If you have feedback for me, the best way to be heard is to tweet at Tesla Tidbits and use the hashtag AskTeslaTidbits if you'd like your question to be considered for the show. Until next time, keep it charged and hit the road.